Gauteng government wants to relocate some Alexandra township residents in order to develop one of Johannesburg's oldest townships. The move is in response to massive protests earlier this year over a lack of services and development in the area. Newsroom Africa's Malungelo Booi has been tracking that story and joins me in studio. So Malu, this comes from the MEC Lebogang Maile. What are the outlines of what it is that they are proposing?
So essentially what Lebogang Maile is saying, that one of the things that they've identified as the major problem in Alexandra is the overpopulation and overcrowding of that particular area. So he's saying that they've worked on a plan to develop that area. Part of that, Tulas, would include they have to redesign the Alexandra community altogether. Now he says for that to happen, they would also need to relocate some of the people in that area in order to make space for that redesign and the development of the area. In fact, there was a report that I was reading, an urban planning report of the year 2000, which actually says that the infrastructure in Alex was meant for a population of about 70,000. If you look in Alex today, the population has tripled to us. And the MEC is saying that, well, he does not think that the community of Alexandra would really be against the idea of redesign and also relocating some people. In fact, he went as far as to say he will be, in fact, meeting with members of the community in the coming weeks to tell them about this plan and what they actually intend on doing.
So is this Alexandra Renewal Project Reloaded 2.0, or is it different? I imagine that must have been one of your first questions, to say, how is it different?
Well, Tulas, he has not given us a lot of detail, in fact, as to how they will go about this. I think one of the things he wants to do first is to take this idea that he has, this plan that they've put together, before he takes it to residents, before he can sort of like give us a whole lot of detail about what exactly they plan to do. But we know, though, that the issue of Alexandra Renewal Project to us is something that will continue to haunt this government, because that's one of the reasons why that particular community took to the streets to start with early this year, saying that they actually had not seen what that project has done for them. And we know that there are currently investigations regarding that.
Yeah, absolutely. There's that inquiry that's been taking place with the Human Rights Commission. But as you rightly say, we did see some protests in the community. So I imagine that community involvement will be key then if we're going to have a kind of Alexandra Renewal Project 2.0. What have the community been telling you?
That's right. In fact, I went to speak to some of those who led those protests that we saw early this year. Let's take a listen at what Vuyisani Baloyi had to say to me earlier.
What we are saying is that it will need the buy-in of the property owners of Alexandra, Apor and Alpoa, also the community of Alex as large, and then we can take it from there. But we are not against anything that is development. We want everything that is good for Alexandra. That's what we've been advocating for, advocating for.
Vuyisani Baloyi there, he was one of the people that led those protests to us. But also what they're saying is that it's not the first time, though. This won't be the first time government removes people from Alexandra to other areas for development. Let's take a listen at what Usandile Mavundla had to tell me about that particular aspect.
It's not the first time people being taken out of Alexandra. People were taken to Diepsloot, people were taken to Bramfisher, and then those people, they are back in Alexandra because it's like they were thrown out of what can I call, when you are like a child when it's connected to a mom, an umbilical cord. So Alex, it's like they are mom. So if they are in the next pockets that are surrounding Alexandra, it's going to be good. Also in terms of education, kids must able to still come to Alex to get schools.
Sure, that gentleman that you spoke to, they're using a very powerful analogy there of the umbilical cord, because if you know anything about people who live in Alex, a lot of them are very sentimental and also attached to the history and heritage of the place. But the reality of the challenges also persists, and it's there for all to see. What is Lebogang Maile telling us by way of how much will be budgeted for this project, the timelines, etc., what measures we can use to hold him accountable to this new project, given the experience of the last one?
Well, tell us, we don't know, in fact, how much money will be spent on this project. In fact, he was saying to us, this is not the only community that they'll be focusing on. There's 5 communities that have been identified, including Klipspruit and Beckersdal and others in Winterveld, if I'm not mistaken. So those are the areas he's saying that they're actually looking into redesigning and redeveloping them, because they're actually trying to prioritize development in those areas, because in a way those areas appear to be forgotten areas.
Interesting, Malu. As you're saying this, I'm thinking about a time when one Nomvula Mokonyane was MEC of Housing. Guess what she was talking about? Renewal of the exact townships that you just mentioned. And her plan was called the Top 20 Townships. We are in 2019, yet another plan. Thank you so much. Newsroom Africa's Malungelo Booi tracking that particular story.